technology you want to talk about, and that technology doesn't actually collaborate and work with you. So that's what we're walking into right now, trying to get it all working and sync. And then you're like, oh, yeah, it doesn't want to do that. So I'm curious, how many of you have been dabbling into AI? ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, where are we at? Awesome. Well, what I want to start with is with this premise. When we think about AI, sometimes it can feel very overwhelming just because there's so much happening and everything is changing so fast. What I want you to think about is not all the tools that I'm going to show you, even though those are really helpful. It's about what problem are you planning to solve? What is the challenge that you are facing? What are some of the things that you might be needing to do in order to solve that challenge, that problem, whatever that might be, right? So the tools that are here are just to support that. So that's the premise that I want to set, just because it's easy to feel overwhelmed. It's easy to feel, oh my gosh, how will I ever keep up with everything that's going on? We're talking about, LLMs and large language models, and this, was 3 years ago. Now we're moving into AI agents. Like, I didn't even get started to understand what an LLM is, and now you're telling me that there's an AI agent I need to learn, right? So that's the premise I wanted to set, because for me personally, what I came to realize is that AI isn't here to be a replacement. It's more to help me answer some important questions. What are some of the things that I gain? What are some of the things that I lose? What are some of the things that are important? And what are some of the freedoms that AI enables me to have, so I can do all the things that Charity was showing in that crazy diagram of what her life turned out to be, right? Yeah. And I'm sure many of you identify with that. Like, you do all the things. You're a mom, you're a auntie, you're a wife, you're a partner, you're all the things. So let's get started really quick. I already got my introduction up, so I'm gonna skip right over this. So what I wanna do, actually run a quick poll. So if you take your devices, point at that QRC code, and I wanna make sure that's enabled here. Okay. Right, so some of those answers will come in as you are using that QR code. So which AI tool do you secretly wish existed? All right, let's see. An AI that responds to my email exactly how I would. I've run this at several different conferences, and I get different results every single time. So I'm always curious to see what the mindset is in the room when we think about AI tools. All right, definitely not for me. Oh, I love it. All right, so most of you are practical. I get it, okay? You want emails to be responded exactly how you want, and some of you are like, hey, I'm actually thinking of it as this fun thing that would be nice to have. All right, we're gonna come to a second poll once we're ready, but for right now, this is where we're at. Okay, so this is when you don't have a video switcher, so you have to switch yourself in between all the things. Yeah, hold on. All right, so we've done that. So I'm curious how many of you, when you think about AI tools and you're in Zoom meetings, and you probably have been playing with note-taking. Are you using any of the Zoom AI Companion, Otter AI? Okay, those are the regular ones that you'd see pop up in Zoom meetings and team meetings. What's fun about this is the fact that nowadays, I know how many of you have been actually doing this, where the AI assistant shows up before you actually show up in the meeting. You can see who's coming and who's going, and you're starting to question yourself, should I attend this meeting, or should I just let my AI assistant take all the notes, give me the summary, and then I can just follow up? I am guilty of doing that. I promise you that there's times when I'm like, I don't have it in me. I've had too many meetings already. One thing that I want to highlight here is, sure this is going, okay. 2 apps that I like to take with me even at conferences like this. Fireflies AI, this is an app that you can record on the phone and it takes notes. So like during this conference, if you don't want to take notes, you would have Firefly AI running in the background and it provides you with all the summaries, all the key takeaways, all the things that you need. Now, why is that important? Let's just say you go to a conference and your boss needs a executive summary for you to provide. And you're like, I don't have time to take all the notes. Actually, I'd rather go and meet with people. Have a tool that does that for you so you don't have to. Another alternative to that is MakeGeek. So between those two, you get about 1,500 free minutes to do enough meetings so that you don't have to actually be the one taking the notes. Okay, one cool thing here when it comes to content creation and marketing, I want to highlight, and this is a little video. Any of you heard of NotebookLM? Okay, so NotebookLM is one of the best tools out there, again, free. A lot of those tools that I'm going to highlight are free, where you can take any contract, any SOP. You can even create a podcast. And not only that you can create a podcast from a content and sources and different things, you can interject the conversation and you can have a conversation with the AI talking about, like for example, in this instance, the case for human AI. And I wanted to interject and say, hey, by the way, actually I had a better idea. Can we include this in the summary of this? So that's one way in which that can be done. And I'm going to pause this because it's trying to work over it. Now, what are some ways in which I use NotebookLM? I summarize the documents and I work with contracts that sometimes span hundreds of pages. And I don't know about you, I don't have time to read hundreds of pages of contracts, but because I have to sign that contract, I better know what's in that contract because I'm liable for it, right? This is where I get my contracts run to NotebookLM, summarize for me, highlight things that I need to be aware of, and also, how does this compare to this other contract that I need to be signing that is side-by-side comparison? I'm not an AI lawyer, but I can tell you that it will give me at least the top level that I need to go into that meeting. And when I need to discuss this contract, I come in as the professional that should know what that contract talks about. Other ways in ways you can use NotebookLM, podcast, blogs, newsletters, drafting proposals. Any of you have to draft proposals? There you go, all right. A client-specific request. You can extract information from emails and then you can come to the meeting prepared with all the things that you need to know about that client, about their competitors, about what they're offering, all the things that help you to have that head start. And that without having to do actually hours of research. All right, next thing that I'm gonna touch on, if you're a content creator, this is amazing. This is the script. And what's cool about the script is that you can edit on the fly any reels, any type of content, remove filler words, and I guess the Wi-Fi doesn't like us, so we're just gonna skip over that. That's just a showcase of how that would actually look. Okay, it's like I don't like you. Hey, the good news is you're gonna get the slides, so if you wanna produce this at your own time, you'll have the time to do that. Okay, what are some other ways I use this script? I capture some calls. I edit and remove whatever that I need, heads and tails, filler words, and then I create clips that I can take to the client and with a thank you note or with a, hey, by the way, we talked about this, or if this is content that you need to distribute on multi-channels areas, best place to start is the script. And not only do you have the ability to do it fast, but it can really create your videos really professionally and instantly. Okay, next one I like really, that I really like to use is, have you guys played with Midjourney at all? Midjourney, it's an AI editor. Now the cool part about Midjourney, it has an AI editor function. Then you can take any photo and then you can task it to turn into something else. So this was one blank photo of a venue that I wanted to showcase to the client what we could do there. So I just prompted to look like this lavish afternoon event with all the details that an event would actually have, right? And it automatically does that for you. So not only are you able to create visuals, so like this is a blank space, this could be this space empty, and then you can prompt it to turn it into having tables and having decorations and stage design and people, all the things that can be done through that AI tool. Otherwise, I use it, product mockups, website visuals, you can edit photos, including AI-generated photos. Okay, next one is Google AI Studios. Now, Google AI Studios is just recently released their Flash 2.0 image generation model, and it can create a storyline. So let's just say a charity wants to organize a two-day event that has a morning session, it has a learning workshop, then it has an afternoon networking event, then it has a happy hour, and all you do is prompt it, and then it creates visuals, and then it creates the agenda, and then it also creates everything that has to do with the programming. All of that from one prompt. And then to make it even funner, you can take a blank space and then decorate it in any way, shape, or form you want. I just felt like that table needed a flower vase without distorting the image. This is important, you guys, because if you go into ChatGPT, if you go in any other AI generating tool, it will distort your image. If you import that table might come up with 5 chairs. It won't keep the same table the same way. You can take your grandma's black and white photos, run it through this tool, and turn it into color without turning your grandma into some historical figure. That is the tool that I'm talking about, okay? All right. Next one, other things that you can do with Google AI Studio, social media graphics, personalized emails, image cleanup for websites. Really, the world is your oyster here. One cool tool that I started playing with, it's this one that, I forgot exactly what's the name for it. I'm like, why do I not have it? Recraft. Like, why do I not have it in order? So what it does, let's just say you're creating swag, you're creating promotional materials, and you do not know how this one logo that you design will look on a t-shirt, will look on a mug, will look on a notebook. You can have that logo now wrap around whatever the product that you're trying to sell. And it will blend itself into that in ways in which you don't have to go and now do test runs for product that you have to buy because it's already done for you. And if you're in that space, marketing and selling product, this tool you must try because it will give you the visual representation of what that looks like. Other ways to use it, obviously e-commerce, visual, instantly, that's helpful. Promotional giveaways, client gifts. I use that for client gifting just because in the incentives event world that we work in, we constantly do gifting. So that's one way in which you can really personalize the experience. Okay, before I move any faster here, actually, I have a QR code for you to be able to download the slides, sans the technical hiccups. Also, on top of that, you're gonna get the list of all the AI tools that I'm mentioning. And then the ChatGPT is a free ebook that I put out actually last year, beginning of last year. And then I forgot about my ebook because I'm like, who still needs to learn how to prompt ChatGPT? Apparently a lot of people. So I'm reviving the ebook. I'm like, hey, it's still very relevant. And this is specifically for small business owners. So if you took a minute, give me some feedback, what stood, what resonated, what could be better, I would really appreciate it because that really informs a lot of the content that I create. Okay, next, what I actually love the most about Gamma AI. Anybody heard about Gamma AI? No? Okay, you can take, and actually I was gonna run this right now for you guys live because it's funner. You can take any text and then you can prompt it in Gamma And at the click of a button, you can generate that into either a presentation, a website. Let's just see, just take that. You can choose different themes. I'm just gonna pick something random here. And you're gonna see how, this is a business plan actually that I dropped in there. And based on how fast our internet is, you're gonna start to see this fictional company that is producing a pitch deck for an investor meeting so that you can go and raise the funds to actually build this business that you had an idea about, and you've got the business model, you've got the problems that you solve, you've got the advantage, you got all the things. And how long does it take for you guys usually to put together a slide deck, a presentation deck, a proposal deck? I'm just curious. Anybody has tried to do that for hours, days, weeks sometimes, then you go back, you're like, oh my gosh, this takes forever. How long did that take?
A minute.
Yeah. And then you can go in there, obviously, and edit it, and add some pictures, make it more personal, whatever it is that you need to do to make it your own. Okay, so that is not only a great tool for beautiful presentations. When you think of AI, one thing that I actually want to highlight is this draft mindset. Always have the draft mindset in mind, because what you start with should not be the final product. Don't take that and be like, done, check, I'm gonna go and walk my dog now. Sure, you can walk your dog, but do give it some thought. Like, you are working in collaboration with AI to produce whatever output, and whatever you produce, just be aware, that is your brand. So don't just leave it at that first draft mindset. Make sure you give it a little bit of forethought. Other ways you can use that is for client proposals. I actually build a lot of decks for client proposals because that's my really full business job to go after that. Investor decks, how do we bring more investors into our events? And then service offerings and overviews. Okay, another tool that, let's start with this. For data analysis, any of you working with spreadsheets? Very, very, very detailed spreadsheets? Okay. So how many times you actually extract information for your spreadsheets and create the narrative, the storyline, where what does this mean? Where do those numbers mean? The visualization of all of that is so easily done with Julius AI. And you can upload the spreadsheets, and that previous video what I was showing is like I had this number of spreadsheets that were super, super detailed and long, and I run it all through Julius AI to give me the visualization of that data. So that's a great tool. I'm not going to insist too much, but that's something that you can definitely keep in mind. Okay, automated workflows. Any of you playing a little bit with Zapier, Make, Bardeen? All right. This is the automation that I have built for me a little while ago that is running all my LinkedIn posts. And I have to tell you guys, I'm huge on LinkedIn. I also have a good following, and I automate all my posts. So that very specifically on Monday, I only talk about AI news. On Tuesday, I talk about women in technology. On Wednesday, I talk about Wellness Wednesday. On Thursday, I talk about other type of technology, production, whatever. And then on Friday is highlighting my podcast. I'm a person that lives in containers, and I'm a very, very disciplined person when it comes to that. And right now, I don't have to think about this anymore because it already takes all the news into a spreadsheet. From that spreadsheet, it takes it to deep research through Perplexity AI. From there, it takes it into another tool to generate images based on what the output is. So like Instagram is, you've got the 3x4 square images. LinkedIn is 16:9. Facebook is 16:9. And then you generate the post on a specific prompt that I created on a format that I'm very strict about. And then, ta-da, on a schedule, done. Check, I don't have to worry about it. The only thing I QC is making sure that it actually still looks like the prompt I created. So one way to use Zapier is great for SaaS type of platforms. It has a lot of integrations. It's a little bit more expensive than some of the other ones. I actually use Make and Bardeen a whole lot, and then Power Automate. If you work under the Microsoft Enterprise license, that's your go-to tool because you already have access to it. It's free. All you have to do is just learn a little bit how to trigger all the actions that you wanted to do. And this is all no-code automations. Like you don't need to know programming. You don't need to know code in order to enable any of those. Make is one of the easiest ones, and you also, I think under the free plan, you can do 5 automations that could be anything and everything. And just think of your workflow. Why would you want to automate just because it's so repetitive? All right. And this is the fun part where I get into to talk about AI agents and the next level of automation. And why is that important? Because right now we're talking about, AI as your assistant, where you're training AI to do some of the tasks that you don't want to do. But at the same time, you're thinking, so what's next? What are some of the ways in which I can scale this? Because even with AI, as we talk about assistant, you need to guide it. You need to give it instructions and prompting and all the things, right? So the next generation of AI, all the steps that you wanted to follow once you get to train it. And you get to build those agents even now if you are curious enough. And a couple of ways in which you can do that, actually, I started playing with Mistral AI. And this is one website where you can go, you can start getting your hands dirty a little bit, if you may, to just learn what does this look like? How can I get informed about the next generation of AI? And another one that is super great is Hugging Face, and this already has pre-programmed agents for many different tasks. If you get into Hugging Face, you're gonna see that it has so many different case studies. And that can be for business, that can be for personal branding, marketing, whatever it is that you need to do. And it's hard to see on the screen because it's small, but once you get the deck, you'll be able to actually dive into it to actually have a better view of that. And the reason why I highlight this is because right now when you think of where we are on the scale of AI agents, we're literally here. We're talking about task executors, the AI assistant. We're talking about somewhat of an adaptive stage, but come soon enough, and we're talking about next year, the years to come, up until 2030, this is already expected to be full-blown AI agent. Any SaaS company, any e-commerce, any other company out there, software-based company that you work with, is developing right now AI agents. So if you are not in a software business, you're like, I don't care about that. Actually, you do, because you will interact with AI agents. One example I want to give, so we book a lot of events. We put on over 3,500 events yearly, and this is large-scale events. And we do a lot of sourcing, which means we need to go to venues, we need to source venues for those events, and vendors, and all the suppliers, and all the things. And we created an agent to call this number of hotels. We're talking about hundreds of hotels for availability. And what's funny, during one of those interventions where the AI agent picks up the phone, calls the hotel, asks about the availability for this conference, for this date, all the things, someone else on the other side one time picks up the phone, and it was another AI agent that was built by the hotel. So you should have heard the conversation. He's like, hello, I am the AI agent that calling on behalf of Meetings and Incentives Worldwide, blah, 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 for this conference. And on the other side, we had a conversation because they're all recorded. It was like, oh, how nice. I'm an AI agent too. It was like so fun. I'm like, oh, they're being a little sarcastic now. So that was super awesome. But I'm telling you, this is the scaling that we're talking about. Building an AI agent to answer the phone for you, building an AI agent to do the task that you don't want to do, like multiply that by 10, 100 times. Now, if you think that you still have to do that diagram that Charity was showing, this is the future. You're gonna be able to do all of that, and all you had to do is have this array of agents do different things for you. So that's what I want you to think about. That's why I want you to just imagine that you could be that person that is able to scale your business at that level. Okay, I think, okay, so one other thing I wanted to mention here, why AI agents matter for business. Obviously, saving time, automating a lot of the admin tasks, enhancing experiences, especially if you work with clients. You want to make sure that it's super uber personalized, and then scaling without having to hire a team of 100 to do all the things. So keep that in mind, and I think that kind of brings me at the end. Yeah, we made it. Yes. Okay, so I actually, do we have time for questions?
5 minutes.
Okay, we have 5 minutes for questions. I'd love to take your questions. Yes.
So if I were to go into Mistral or Hugging Face and just talk to it, would I be able to train it enough to create a workflow or create the agent? Like how, you said no coding, but what if I don't know anything about it?
You know what?
Yeah.
I actually created a fully automated app that required a lot of Python coding, and I knew nothing about Python. So I took that workflow and then I took it to ChatGPT and I asked it, help me step by step build this app that I wanted to do this and this and this. And I went literally snapshot by snapshot. Now you don't have to do that anymore. This was a year or something ago. Now you can actually incorporate ChatGPT to visualize what's on the screen. And that's in the app that you download, and it has the screenshot option. So like you're coding something, or you want to code something, or you're showing the Mistral AI website and say, hey, I want to build this AI agent, but I have no idea where to start. Give it that prompt, and then see the instructions that you get. And go step by step. AI will try to take you 100 steps ahead. Stop it. Say, no. I need you to really take me step by step. You're the boss. Yes.
Hi. Thank you so much for all of this.
You're welcome.
So I use ChatGPT Plus. I use Scholar GPT a lot for creating programs. I'm in the medical science. And I call her Madge. And Madge has dementia. She keeps forgetting everything that I'm saying. She'll say, I'll give you this, and then she keeps repeating herself, but in different words. And I'm paying attention, but then when I get like all this stuff, I have to, it takes me hours, days to go through what she's telling me, because she's taken the word bottle, water bottle, and said it 19 different ways with 19 different slides, which you don't even know she's saying that.
Right. So a couple of things. One, do you have the memory enabled? Because I've been using Plus for 3 years. That's all I've known. But I've also started using other tools, Perplexity, Gork 3, and Claude. Here's what I can tell you, because I'm in the process of editing my book, which, God help us, yes, publish it this year. The problem I was running into with ChatGPT, which is very similar to what you're describing, is I was running out of tokens every time I would have this huge amount of content, of words that I would try to analyze. And I wouldn't ask it to analyze it for, to rewrite it for me. What I wanted to analyze for flow, to analyze for the storyline, to analyze that I didn't miss something, or I didn't leave the reader wondering what happened there because you forgot to actually, describe more of that. I turned to Claude because Sonnet 3.7, Claude by Anthropic, is so much better at taking, especially academic research, academic papers, long documents that you're trying not to lose the top from the end, because somewhere in the middle, what will happen, ChatGPT will remember about 65% of the first draft and then completely lose the last end, right?
I know.
So try Claude. However, you might need to go into the professional version, because a lot of those models, they're getting much better. Like we're talking about 6 months has been huge improvements into being able to take a huge number of words and still being able to remember what happened. But the number of tokens is what the problem is when you're running into this. Google Studio AI doesn't have token limit. That's another tool that you could take large amounts of data and just try to analyze it. So try those two and see if you get better results. Now the thing with Claude is you're gonna have to create a persona to give it the persona of like what you're trying to do, right? This is your academic, research, scientist persona. And then you need to give it the type of instructions so it knows specifically what the output needs to be. Okay, any other questions? Yes?
Thank you so much. This is invaluable.
You're welcome.
I have a question that is not pertaining to this, but I would love to invest in AI. So I'd love to pick your brain, and maybe we can do this later, but what company is the best to invest in AI?
Okay, so if you ask me personally, I would go and research a woman-owned company. Anyone that is in the field that is woman-owned and operated researcher, and I actually follow quite a few on LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'd be more than happy. I have a few that I have been following just in the last 2 years alone, and I know that they're really pitching for investors and they're looking for angel funders. So if that's you, more power to you, but that would be my first criteria. Then, what problem is that business trying to solve? Is that helping us, women, in business? Is that solving a problem? Or like if you're also very much thinking about the world problems, right? That could be whatever your heart is at. But for me, there's two major criteria, and that's always trying to support the woman in business because I know how hard it is to be a woman, especially in technology. Okay, room for one more question or we're good? Okay, here's an open invite. If you have other questions, I am super busy on LinkedIn with answering questions, DMing. My DMs are full. I welcome you to just DM me with whatever question you have, and then we can take it from there. And if you need resources, if you need help, tips, just reach out. Sounds good?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Thank you all. You guys are such an amazing crowd.
All right, let's give it up for Anka. Great job, great job. And while she reconnects all the fun things, I would love to hear, what was one of your favorite takeaways? What's something that you learned, favorite takeaway? So hand up if you have something to share. What was one of your favorite takeaways or something that you learned? Yes, okay, so before you do it, right? So this is how we do things around here, okay? So I'm gonna have you stand up, you're gonna say your name, and here's what we do in this room, okay? So know that on average, we meet about 10,000 people in our life. And that's about the size of the Rome Colosseum. Okay? So guess what? In this room, we are in the arena together. Yes? Because I don't know about you, but I have enough people in the cheap seats. I have enough people in the peanut gallery. Sometimes it's this peanut gallery, my own peanut gallery, right? So in this room, because we are in the arena together, we are each other's biggest fans. Yes, yes?
Yes, yes.
So when this amazing woman, if you don't know her, you will, but when she shares her favorite takeaway, she's going to say her name, where she's from, and because we are in the arena with her, we are going to cheer for her like we are her biggest fans. Sound good?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and say your name, where you're from.
All right, Adrienne Esposito, Boise, Idaho.
Woo!
What I took away the most, honestly, was I loved the LinkedIn aspect on the pre-schedule, so I'm also very fluid on LinkedIn, and I use tools to schedule my posts, and I try to watch the analytics for like what time of the day is the best, when will your post be viewed, but what I took away was changing, because I run the same kind of three storylines each time, but I just reword them with ChatGPT. But I loved the idea of running different days of the week for very targeted, pointed, specific things you want to get out. I'm wondering, is there a way to see that analytics, and I'm sure there is, for which days of the week are actually outperforming, which topics are people really engaging with more, so that you can compound on that and continue to do those?
Ways LinkedIn gives you analytics, especially if you have sales leader, Play, the pro version of also gives you actually analytics of what the best time of the day, best day of the week goes based on content. So those are two pieces. Those are not free options,
Right.
They're if you're